Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day. I would like to use this time to talk to you about one of my inspirations, this gentleman right here on my desktop. His name was Joseph Merrick. He lived from August 5th, 1963 to 1863 to April 11th, 1890, and he is one of the inspirations of my faith because even though he grew up with what was known as Purgus syndrome, he had a very deep faith that he was valuing. He had a very close relationship with his mother until she died when he was 13, and then his father, who was not the nicest man, married a woman who wasn't as kind and loving towards his difference. So he decided to leave home at 15 after his father had beat him so severely, and he had left home several times, but his father, to use Joseph's own words from his autobiography, as a novelty in the circus, had said that he must have had some parental feeling left, quote, because he always asked Joseph to come back, things would change, and then the father would get irate about Joseph not being able to sell from his wares because the father owned a shop and it was kind of a door-to-door salesman situation. And of course, with Joseph's deformity in the 19th century, people often slammed doors in his face, and again, it just shows his character that he was able to let that go, because later in his life, when he, after the novel certificate and after he was in, his new manager left him in Austria. If you've ever seen the movie Maybe for English Class, it's highly dramatized. But actually, a lot of his managers had a deep respect for Joseph's character and his gentle manner, and he chose to be an novelty because it was work in the 1800s. And what I mean by novelty is that people with differences and disabilities could go around, and some critics say exhibit, but for those who chose it for themselves, they could present themselves and work with their managers, present themselves in ways that allow people to see a person with a difference. And again, according to his autobiography, which you can find online, and it's very short, it's like 5 pictures long, but here says that his audiences had been very kind to him. And so it wasn't the hissing and booing that you see in some of the movie scenes. Yeah, and before I continue, Dr. Treves was a wonderful man. He once Joseph got, because he met Joseph a couple years before actually, but then his new manager, I don't even want to remember his name because he left Joseph penniless in Austria because they were trying to find places to exhibit. But in that time, the whole practice was beginning to be shut down, because people saw it as a negative experience, as the movie portrays. And so it's no wonder that the movie kind of went with the general outcry at the time that these people shouldn't be exhibited. But speaking from his perspective, it was a job that actually gave him money, and he had a dream to buy a house by a seaside. And by the way, I'm getting all my information from a wonderful book. It's called Measured by the Soul, and you can find it, I think, on Amazon, and it's by the friends of Joseph Merrick. Unfortunately, the small fan group of Joseph has had to let go of their official website. I think it was COVID because they were like a grassroots thing and to promote his story, but it's a beautiful book, and I think you can still find it on Amazon, and it's a very balanced book. Like, they have the different opinions about how people felt at that time about people being exhibited, and they have different views on Treves writing about Joseph, which is what the movie in 1980 is heavily based on. And for the record, I am kind of saying that the movie, for some points, was a little bit inaccurate. It wasn't. He wasn't kidnapped. He wasn't being deaf. He was just Pilgis syndrome, which caused tumors on the skull and in his skeletal, in his skeleton, just has a life expectancy, and he most likely died of a stroke. So it wasn't that he was being to death, but I will say that the movie is very powerful in showing his character. So I do recommend people watch it. It's just bring lots of tissues. I still haven't watched the ending. But it is a very powerful movie, and Dr. Treves was a very kind man once Joseph, by the grace of God, even though he was banging in Austria with no money from his last manager, was able to make it back to England, make it to the London hospital. He still had Dr. Treves' card from when he was first examined by Treves, because he saw the poster a couple years earlier as the manager if he could examine Joseph, and so, and his second manager wasn't that the drinking abusive manager that they portray in the movie. Again, I think it's more of that Victorian tale to show his character, because when people have mixed perspectives in movies, the character of the protagonist possibly isn't as well seen as if the character is personified as like pure evil against pure good. But again, his manager before the one that left him in India, not India, sorry, before the one that left him in Austria, actually said you could never doubt his spirit, and was very kind to everyone. And that's what they said at the hospital too, that even though he had gone through this traumatic, abusive childhood, even though he had gone through this event in Austria, he was nervous to meet new people sometimes, but he was always kind, always had a good thing to say about people. And I think we need to acknowledge that. And he's definitely a source of inspiration for me, especially in faith, because he was a Christian. And again, he truly embodied that forgiveness, and that, like, this is what God gave me. At the end of the letters, he has this beautiful poem, kind of sad, but he had this beautiful poem that goes, basically, if I had a choice, I would change, but blaming me is blaming God. So he basically said, yes, it's difficult, but this is how God made me. And so I truly believe, if we think he's something to, like, I actually, because of that faith, and because of a personal connection I have with him, because I'm of the belief, and you can disagree, but I have a belief that if you ever can expect with someone, even those in history, you're connected to them in some way. And so he's not only like this brother in Christ from from the past. I see him as someone I can connect with in meditations, and when I do, the spirit is always gentle, kind, considerate, and so yeah, he is truly, you can't judge a book by its cover. His faith is exemplary, and I just have nothing but good things to say about him, because he truly was one of the gentlemen that you see in, like, those really, like, in Pride and Prejudice, but the really nice ones, the ones that make some people go, I want one, you know, because he was gentle, he was very affectionate. Like, if somebody, if a really nice lady sent him his picture, which many people did after visiting him, they're like, I'm gonna send you pictures so you can remember me, which is which was a great honor, especially with Princess Alexandra in 1887. But Princess was at that time, and of course her picture was put up, like, many of us would put a picture of a saint, like, but that's understandable. I mean, she was the Princess of Wales, and so he was, and every time he wrote to people, it was like, um, it's according to Dr. Treves, when he wrote in his diary, these letters were, like, very, like, affectionately written, like, almost from a lover to whoever the way was that he was writing to. Whether it was Mrs. Kendrick, which this is a beautiful part of the movie, is that in the movie they actually meet for the first time, but in reality they were pen pals. And so I think that is a beautiful thing that they gave him in the movie, that they actually met each other because they were very close friends. And till his deaf, but I think really it says a lot about this character that these aristocrats would take the time, not out of pity, but out of friendship, to write with him and to um give him vacations outside the hospital. Um, and so for me, he's definitely a brother. He's definitely a strength. And also, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I went through like this phase. It's a long story, and I don't want to do a bunch of blah 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 here. But when I connected with his story again, I connected with him in high school because of the movie, but then I kind of drifted away because I didn't acknowledge that, you know, what I was feeling. And so when I met his character again, several years later, this is a short version, by the way, I realized, or not met him again, but once I came back, it was kind of a Puggle sunscreen, which I'll explain maybe sometime soon. But when I came back to that relationship, I just realized how he forgave. And I was spiritual, but I fell under the category of spiritual, but not religious, which is fine. Any those who identify with that watching this video, but at the time I was still feeling like really bitter towards my situation because I hadn't dealt with the more difficult parts. And then I looked at his story again, and it was like, okay, I'm following him because he seems to be doing something right, you know, and he definitely was the beginning of my exploring this whole Christian thing, and so with what that's given me too, I truly thank him for it. And yeah, he is definitely not a freak. He is a gentleman for the ages, and so when we see people with deformities, disabilities, it's really an example of not judging a book by its cover and the blessings that we can receive if we just truly step a little bit closer, get past our fears, and be gentle with one another and to forgive the past. And so, yeah, that's all I want to talk to you about today. I hope I wasn't rambling, but like I said, like a little sister does with a big brother who she's very close to. Sorry if I rambled, but he's just, yeah, I love him like a brother. And God bless you, Joseph. So, amen. So, yeah, that's it. And I hope you enjoyed that. And if you want to ask more questions, I may do a part 2 where I explain more of the details, and again, where I got most of the details today comes by Magic of the Soul, the life of Joseph Merrick. So it's a great book. I highly recommend looking it up on Amazon. I don't know if it's still happening, but when my family got it for me for my birthday, all the proceeds went to um uh, researching to POTUS syndrome so that they can find a cure, because some people still struggle with it today. But like Joseph, at the end of the book, they have a couple of people who connect with him because of having the same condition, and like him, they have a very brave and honorable perspective. Um, but they are looking for a cure, because like they said it's a progressive disorder. So I- I'll explain my views on it here in another video. But when the people with certain different actually want it, that's different than somebody forcing a cure, and that's all I'm gonna say about that part. But yeah, all the proceeds from this beautiful book that kind of helps to discern fact from fiction about Joseph Merrick the Elephant Man. All proceeds go to helping somebody like him. So I highly recommend the book, and I hope you enjoyed that. And again, God bless your brother. Love you. And thank you for watching, and take care. Have a great day, guys.